Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Today, we'll be coming out of the book of Joshua. Book of Joshua. I'm pushing what I'm talking about. I'm going to sneak over there and sit though. I'm going to find that one moment in the message where I can sneak over there. Young man, Pastor found it. Joshua 3 and 4. The third chapter, the 14 through the 17 verses. Joshua 3:14 through 17. And I pray that this message blesses somebody today. Amen, amen. Starting in verse 14, it's already there. So when the people broke camp to cross the Jordan, the priest carrying the Ark of the Covenant went ahead of them. Now Jordan is at flood stage all during harvest. Yet as soon as the priests who carried the Ark reached the Jordan, and their feet touched the water's edge, the water from upstream stopped flowing. It piled up in a heap a great distance away at a town called Adam in the vicinity of Zarethan, while the water flowing down to the sea of Araba, which is the Dead Sea, was completely cut off. So the people crossed over opposite Jericho. The priests who carried the Ark of the Covenant, the Lord stopped in the middle of the Jordan and stood on dry ground. Somebody say, stood on dry ground.
Stood on dry ground.
While all Israel passed until the whole nation had completed the crossing on dry ground. I want you to do me a favor this morning as you find your seat. I want you to find somebody next to you and say, follow the promise.
Follow the promise.
Follow the promise. I don't think y'all got that. Look at the other neighbor on the way to your seat and say, follow the promise. Follow the promise. Follow the promise. Amen. To be doing that as well. Well, follow the promise. Follow the promise. I want to talk today about the forward mentality. The forward mentality. Having the ability to look forward. Having the ability to look forward. Let's talk about promises for a minute. I'm going to pick it up, I promise. So let's talk about a promise. Let's talk about a promise. That's dope. I forgot about that. Got a little moving graphic today. A little movement. That's good. But follow the promise. Follow the promise. So think about this, right? Anybody ever had somebody break a promise? Ain't that the worst, man? Especially as a child, you sitting there and you like, man, Daddy said he coming to the game. Woo, I can't wait to Daddy again. I'm gonna play extra hard today. I'm put it in. Man, and then the whole time you playing and you looking for Daddy and Daddy ain't there. You know, maybe he gonna come in the third quarter. You know, I'm still gonna give it my all. But Daddy ain't there. That's the worst feeling, ain't it? Ain't you glad you serve a God who's always there?
Amen.
Oh man, come on, y'all can do a little better than that.
Glory!
The Bible said that God is omnipotent, omniscient, meaning always present, ever present help. He's always here. He's everywhere we go. So I'm grateful that God, when he gives a promise, I can count on it. Amen.
Amen.
Never let these two words lose validity next to your name. I promise. I'm going to speak to somebody today that has people that's following them, that have children, that have people. If you give your word to anything, follow through. I don't care what it is. I don't care. Man, if you say you're going to do it, I don't care if you double book, you better find a way. Because your name is all you have. I'm just saying, if you put your word on something, I'm telling you, you got to keep your integrity. Because you got to follow through. If you say you're going to do something, make sure you do it. So in this particular passage, I'm going to do a little backstory to give you guys a little bit of the subtext. But what it is that Joshua, he's been installed as the new leader or pastor, or whatever you want to call it, of the Israelite nation. This is where Moses, let my people go, Pharaoh, and did all the crossing of the Red Sea. And they came from pain. And they came from a painful place into a wilderness experience and then into a promise. But there's a process that takes place in the midst of transition. So before I can go into talking about the promised land, I need to give you some backstory about the pain and get some understanding of where you come from. People always say, never forget where you come from. Oh yeah, people get brand new all the time. Tell them tax season. Y'all see some brand new people over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Just tell the truth. The line is out the door, Red Lobster with them cheddar biscuits. They hood rich in the name of Jesus. In the name of tax. So number one, I'm gonna deal with the backstory that we get to the text. But pain, let's talk about pain for a second. The children of Israel, they knew pain. They knew much pain. They were servants. They worked in the heat. They made bricks and they changed. They made the city, all the stuff. You see the great stuff. They made statues and liberals, and they did a lot of stuff. But they were enslaved, so they would get their babies snatched at birth, and they would lose their birthright and not know who their parents were, and they would not. It was just pain. Their whole past was pain. So God said, you know what? Because of your endured pain, I'm going to make you a promise. But you gotta trust me. Somebody said, trust God.
Trust God.
Is anybody in this room familiar with pain? I'm sorry, I ain't always had it together. Anybody here with me that's been through some stuff? Oh, I done been through some stuff, man, and I see it, and I'm just like, man, God, I thank you for the pain, but why did I have to go through the pain? I'm just warming up. But I'll tell you, anybody familiar with their past, that stuff you used to do? That stuff that you thought was good for you, but you grew up in a little bit down the road, you figured out it wasn't that good anyway? I guess I'm talking to myself. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I'm going to ask you, man, because Egypt, the word Egypt in the Bible means a place of suffering. Place of stress. So what is your Egypt today, 3D? Because let me tell you something, it's the enemy's job, right, to keep reminding you of your Egypt, to keep you from your Canaan. I'm trying to help somebody. Canaan was just the promised land. I didn't read that far in the scripture, but Canaan was the name. Like, what is your Egypt? I'm trying to help somebody today. Because there's nothing worse than comfortable pain. I'm glad I'm preaching better than y'all. I get it, it's okay. There's nothing worse than pain that feels good. I'm trying to help somebody. Yeah, they call it a beautiful monster. A polite jerk. That's one you take with you to the bank. An ex-boyfriend that you know ain't no good for you. Shouty. I'm gonna say it. There's a lot of Decadites in here. And y'all know the ones that you know ain't no good, but you keep answering the phone. Can I have a real church today? Please.
Amen.
Can we have a real conversation?
Preach, Pastor.
That one guy that come on, man, y'all know that habit y'all used to have? Uh-oh. That's the Lord talking. Let that thing go, because it's comfortable. And reason it's comfortable is because it's familiar. Oh man, let me tell you, when you're familiar with something, man, you don't ever want to let it go. It's constant. It's coming. It's coming. So there's nothing worse than that, man. Let me say this to you. The people of Egypt, the Israelites that were in the Egyptian nation, what they did was when Moses got to a point. I want to read the scripture. Let me see if it's up there. It should be up there. Exodus. Bam, that's it. Exodus. The Lord said to Moses, why do you cry to me? So they're crying, man. What they're saying, I should have put the text back, but it's okay. What they're saying is, I could have died in Egypt, Moses. How dare you get me out of here? The God of Abraham made a promise. Surely the God of Abraham can get me out of this. Why did you lead us to die?
Here we go.
Woo!
Come on here.
Your God, you said this God was powerful. How dare you? So Moses like, man, they get on my nerves, God. Help me. I don't know what to do. I'm at a dead end. These folks chasing us. What am I going to do? Moses, so the Bible says, why do you cry to me? Tell the people of Israel to go where?
That's good.
Woo, I'm just talking. He said, the text said, go forward. So why is it that every time we get to a wilderness experience, we start trying to go backwards because it's comfortable? Hey, man, at least I got bread. You know, I might have some dirty water, but I got water. At least I got a job. I got something to do. I can stay safe. At least I'm alive.
Amen.
Back in Egypt, but God said, I got something better for you. I'm talking to all of y'all in this room today. That at least you might be in the wilderness right now, but God still has a promise. And you got to keep moving forward, man, because what happens is the enemy wants you to see your pain and find a comfortable place in it. But see, you get in the wilderness and then you get scared out here and you don't know what's going on. But over here is promise if you keep walking. I'm just trying to help somebody. So look at somebody say, keep walking.
Keep walking.
Move forward.
Get here.
All right, so we deal with pain.
Keep walking.
It's the enemy's job to make your past look appealing. Oh, man, that is why people will date somebody in high school. They'll break up. They won't see him for 30 years. And then they'll find them on Facebook. Come on, Facebook ministries. Come on now. They'll see them again on Facebook, Marshall. And what they'll do is I want to end up with that person from 30 years ago. Why? Because it's comfortable. Man, people hate dating new people. I ain't gonna tell the truth. I ain't never dated, but I heard about it. I ain't dated as an adult. Tree took me out the market before I can get out there. She snatched your boy up. I don't know what it feels like. Y'all help me out today. Can y'all help me singles conference? Where y'all at?